we've had some fun.
It's time for the Ship's Gonna Happen podcast. Here with a load of laughs, info, and fun, it's Tony B, Dave B, and Timmy D.
Before I go alone. Don't ask me this and one more song. It ain't too costly, no, I ain't too cheap, so just relax. I'm on my knees.
Welcome to the Ship's Gonna Happen podcast, episode number 93. My name is Tony B. Alongside me, as usual, is David B. Timmy D's out again, David.
Shocking.
Special guest, Trucker Rene from Northern Cross Transport, NCT. He's with us. We're excited to catch up with him. Topic 1, trailer orders surge to an all-time high. Topic 2, new state laws in effect in 2023. Number 3, the Brent Spence Bridge in Ohio. Got an update there. The views of Ship's Gonna Happen are purely news-driven and do not express the views of any transportation provider or any business entity that uses any transportation provider. David, we do it why?
Transportainment.
Boom, baby. That's why. Transportainment. You can catch us on all the platforms: Google Podcast, iHeartRadio, Amazon, Stitcher. There's one, Stitcher. You ever heard of that one, David?
I have not.
Stitcher, that's a big one out there. We are on all of them. Rumble is one of the big ones. Spotify, iHeart. All you need to do is just type Ship's Gonna Happen into the search engine of your choice and you will find us. David B., happy Saturday morning.
Good Saturday morning to you, producer Tony. Always a pleasure to see you. It's kind of a gray winter morning here in central Indiana. It's but nothing that's going to deter us from having a great show with one of our favorite guests, Rene from NCT. You're looking forward to catching up with him. This show, along with all of our other shows, is brought to you by The Great Divide, 743 East New York Street, downtown Indianapolis. Great place to go after a Ship's Gonna Happen week. I was briefly in there last night for just a couple beers before I was hooked up with some other buddies before kind of tied it on for the evening. But it was a good place. It was good to go into The Great Divide, catch it up with the locals, hear some good music. David Meek was on the piano and gets a good meal and get some beverages in you, and it's the Great Divide, downtown Indianapolis. Producer Tony, your yard, I don't care what the weather is outside, your yard is the best looking yard, period, hands down.
I literally thought I might have to cut it. It looks like it's grown through the winter, isn't it? Look like that?
I would say.
It's bizarre.
It is, but we've had some weather that would make it grow.
I know.
So
I think it really has grown. It's like bizarre. So there's been so many days over 40, right?
Right.
But thank you, man.
Just like you and I over 40. So
thank you very much. And you know what? The 26th, what's happening?
Yeah. So so we might as well talk about it now because we're going to forget that Francois Hugen, friend of the show, author of the book Made in France, is doing a book signing on the 26th at the Great Divide starting at 6 p.m. Come on by, buy a copy of the book if you haven't already done so. Bring it with you if you have. Get it signed. You can hear a little bit more about Francois' story. He's a great gentleman. His producer will be there also.
Yeah, director, producer.
Yeah, and his name is...
Man, I'm forgetting. Logan?
Yep, that's it.
Logan
will be there.
Yep.
So both very good gentlemen, and it'll be good to go there and catch up with the both of them and hear Francois talk more about his book.
Awesome. Rene.
Yes, sir.
Are you there,
Good morning.
Rene?
Hey,
Good morning.
Rene.
Good morning, fellas.
How have you been, sir?
Oh, fantastic. Living the dream. Doing good.
So it's been 31 shows since we talked to you last time. Can you give us a little bit of
31.
Yeah, it has been a bit. Can you give us a little bit of an update on how you've been and what's been going on?
Yeah. Things have been great. I've been with Landstar now since May 10th, because I think we did our interview May 2nd, and so I finally got aboard with Landstar. I took them 9 weeks to go through the vetting process and background checks, and I mean, from the day you had a CDL, they're looking back at your record to see if there's any violations, tickets, accidents, anything like that. And they say, during orientation, pat yourself on the back because only 3 out of 5 make it, with Landstar. And so And if I didn't mention before, every trailer you see out there that says Landstar, that's what Landstar owns, are trailers. Every truck pulling them trailers are owner operators.
Oh wow.
Mm. Okay.
So it's not like Swift and Schneider and Walmart. I mean, you can lease onto there, but they have their own trucks as well. Where Landstar owns 0 trucks.
Okay. Nice. And so far, so good with them.
Yes and no.
Okay. Okay.
just like anywhere else, I was actually getting ready to quit the first of the year and go out on my own authority, just because you know prior to getting on with Landstar, May, the rates were ridiculous. I mean, they were just, they were awesome. Drivers were making money, and they had loads going up to Alaska that were $27,000, and that's where I'm from. I don't know if you guys.
We do remember
We
that.
talked about that. Yeah.
And that's why I leased on with them, because they have loads going up there. And
So Rene, hang on a
by
second.
time-
Rene, hang on one second. So say that again. That's what they were paying you to go there?
Yeah, 27,000 is what the load would pay to go up to Alaska from Texas.
That's unbelievable.
Damn.
Well, I mean, you factor in the fuel costs of what it costs to get through Canada. I mean, it's
Well, what would it cost you, Rene? What would you net on something like that, if you don't mind me asking?
well, on 27%, or they're going to take away almost $10,000 of that, their portion of it,
Right.
and then the fuel costs, and then I'm net at the rest. But so and the fuel cost in Canada, $1.91 a liter, times out by 3.785. I mean, you're $6-7 a gallon. Is what you're paying to get through Canada.
Right.
And so it's not cheap, going through there, and
Mm-hmm.
and then the roads, the wear and tear on your truck getting up to Alaska, So I mean, it's got to pay well, otherwise, you're. And once you get up there, it's hard getting a load out of there, And so we do a lot of military loads coming out, and when I did go up there, they had $18,000 loads coming out. But my truck wasn't ready. I was servicing it. I was putting decals on it. I was registering it. I was doing all kinds of stuff to the truck because I bought it down here in Texas.
Okay.
And I had to retitle it in Alaska and get my title, and because I paid cash for the truck, and then get it decaled, because my decal guy was up there, and a couple places down here in Texas I tried to have it done, and they had their head up their butt, and they didn't know what I wanted. And I wanted reflective decals, and it was pulling teeth for these guys to understand what it was. I was like, forget it. I got a guy in Alaska that'll do it.
Wow.
Anyhow, and he did, and it looks beautiful. I mean, it came out fantastic. But so I was having to pass up some of those loads just because I wasn't ready to head down. And then when I was ready, and when I am ready, I hate sitting there, when the truck's ready. And so the load I ended up taking it paid $8,000, but something's better than nothing coming out, where I missed the $18,000 military loads that were coming out of there,
Right.
And so if I'd waited a few more days, I could have got one. But I took a month off. I was up there for a month getting everything taken care of on my truck, and because I hadn't been home in 10 months. So it's like, I needed to get a lot of things done and visit and whatnot. And so I did. And so I just took the first thing that was available when I was ready to head out. And so I haven't been back up there because freight's just dropped. I mean, that same $27,000 load, they're 14,000 now. And it's just like, and it's starting to go up a little bit, and the fuel costs are going down a little bit. But I was going to leave them, like you asked me earlier. The first of the year I was going to leave Landstar, and I have access to the load boards because I'm a BCO. I work for Landstar, and so, but everything on the load board, they're crumbs. It's crumbs. The good paying loads, 30% of the loads aren't even posted on the load board. So if any given day, if you log into the the load boards, they'll show you anywhere between 60 to 92,000 available loads in the United States
Rene, why are
for Landstar.
30% not on there?
Well, that's where I was headed. Is those 30%? They're agents that hold those because they have drivers that they like to use, and those loads are $5, $6, $7, $8, $9 a mile loads.
Dang.
And everything on the load board, you're looking at $2 and $3 a mile. Now and then you might see a 4, and that's a fluke, because like I said, I call it the crumbs on the load board, and they have over 1,500 agents. And a lot of these guys, they'll call me because, they have tracking devices on the trailers, and they'll call and say, hey, and I see that you're in Toledo, Ohio. I got a load coming out of there, and, and they offer this load, and you're like, okay, what's it pay? What's the rate per, I mean, you're pulling teeth because these guys that are calling, they're new agents, and they tell you the total of what the load pays $4,000. Okay, well, but how far am I going? What's my deadhead? I'm having to pull teeth, and then these guys don't speak English because they're from another country, and it's,
Yeah.
Right.
so half of them guys that call me, I just hang up on them or I block their numbers because it's like, dude, if I got to work this hard to get information out of you, and if there is a problem with the load,
Yeah.
forget it. I mean, and these guys got no skin in the game, so I'm going to end up losing out, or I'm not going to get my truck order not used, or detention pay, or whatever, because trying to explain it to them, and yeah, it's like, forget it. So when they call and, hey buddy, and it's like, okay, we never had a beer the other night, so I'm not your buddy,
Right.
and yeah, they talk to you like, they know you, and they do that just, making you think that you did a load with them before, and
Right.
and all these agents that I do deal with, I put notes in my phone, asshole, or great person, or, so when they do call back, I know either to accept it or be on guard, just because, it was a difficult person to work with the last time. So those 30% that aren't posted, those are the agents you want to deal with, but it's networking. And
Yeah.
I'm not one to kiss ass, but I finally got in with some of those brokers, and I did some loads that were $6 a mile loads, and then $500 a day detention, and it's like, okay, this is what they're talking about. Because with Landstar, you can become a millionaire. You really can. One of the guys that I'm working with, that's kind of mentoring me through the Landstar way. The guy did 52,000 miles last year, and he made 425,000.
Yeah.
Rene, how does that system differ from most others, if you don't mind explaining that? Becoming a millionaire sounds like a pretty good objective.
Well, I just told you the 30% of the loads that aren't on the load
Okay.
board. If you get on with those agents, those are the $6, $7, $8, $9, $10 mile loads.
So that'd be Landstar type loads.
They're all Landstar loads, but those
Wow.
agents have really good clients, and they pay really, really well. And those are like that guy. If you do the math, 52,000 miles, 425. That's an average of $8 a mile.
That's great.
And so he does a lot of home time, and he did some babysitting where if he took a load somewhere, they're paying him to sit there to offload it, and so
Right.
he's getting $500 to $1,000 a day in detention pay, and so he never lost out, and only did 52,000 miles.
That's crazy.
And I'm working my ass off going East Coast to West Coast. I'm going from Pennsylvania to California for $6,800.
Yeah.
Over 3,200 miles, and he's going from Texas to Vegas, 1,300 miles, and making $7,000.
That's
And
crazy.
here I went 3,200 miles, and it was right under 7,000 plus the fuel expense and all that. And so I got in on and so that's why I'm like, okay, I'll give him another shot. I'm going to stick around. But yeah, I was getting ready to leave them just to go back into. And they have an oversized division, platform division is what they refer to it as, and that's how I started doing 27 wide loads, 13, 16 wide loads, and so that's my forte. That's what I'd rather do. But a lot of this loads that he's showing me right now, it's no touch, it's bumping a dock, and they're light loads. Is the other thing is, they're 10, 15,000 pound loads, where the stuff I was doing was, 43,000 pounds. So I'm at 80,000 gross,
Right.
where, these are 5, 10,000 pound loads. So my fuel economy is fantastic. The wear and tear, it's minimal. And so why not do that and make the money that I could be making doing oversize without having to overwork my truck,
Heck yeah.
you know? And so, yeah, I'm all about that, and if I can do a little bit of miles like that and still make that and gross that kind of money, it's like, I mean, that's kind of a no-brainer. So it's like, yeah, I'm all over that. So that's kind of what I'm doing now. But I'm taking some time off right now, and so I'm in Texas as we're talking. I got a younger brother who's not doing really who's not doing well. He's getting ready to pass away, and so I
Oh,
was
sorry to
trying to
hear
spend
that,
some time
man.
with him. Yeah,
How young is your brother?
we're a year apart, so I'm 53.
Okay.
He's 52.
Hmm.
He's got muscular dystrophy, and he never he they said he never would have lived this long, but it was my mom keeping him alive, and keeping
Yeah.
And he's the young man you have in your pictures on your Instagram and stuff, correct? That you go to visit every now and again.
Yeah, and if you look at him, I mean, he's like a skeleton there. His eyes are sunken in. He's all of 90 pounds, and I mean, I can put my fingers around his ankles and his arms. It's just, and here I am, 350 pounds, and he's 90 pounds. He's, joking around when we were kids, I always said he had tapeworms because that guy could eat me out of, you know,
Yeah.
he could eat. I mean, he could eat, but it's like, dude, you must have tapeworms because I've never seen anybody could consume that much food and still be as thin. And people say metabolism or whatever, but yeah, I think he's got tapeworms. That's what I used to tell him. But, but yeah, he's really, my little brother, and it's just, life isn't fair at times.
Yeah. Sorry to hear about that, Renee, man. That's tough to go through.
Yeah, yeah, he stopped talking. It's been over a year now, and so
Oh wow.
ever since my mom passed away, he's kind of given up the will to live just because they were really, really close, and
Hmm.
you know, um, yeah, I used to tell him that he was mooching off the system, and
Right.
he was mooching off mom and dad because I said, you need to move out. You've been here long enough. It's time for, and joking around with him.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
he's like, why? Because I got it made.
Yeah. Right.
Like, no shit, man. You go to his bedroom, it's like Circle K. He's got snacks and toys and or food and all his drawers, just because he couldn't walk, so he'd have to crawl, and this way he didn't have to crawl to the kitchen to get something or bother mom. She
Yeah.
she always had snacks in all his drawers and stuff. So it's like going to Circle K if you go visit him and you're talking to him. If you're thirsty or hungry, shit, just open up a drawer. There'd be food in there.
Right. There you go.
But
Going back to when you were recently or when you were in Alaska last time, were you able to, I know you said you spent about a month there. Were you able to kind of do any sightseeing or were you able to do any fishing or hunting? Are you big into that? Is that anything that you were?
yeah, always it's you guys will get blown away. But yeah, I took my ex-wife up with me to Alaska. She'd
Oh,
never been, and our daughter had been up there many a times and took the road. I'd never had anybody in the passenger of my big truck.
mhm.
I mean, I've had an hour or so somebody ride with me, but that's about it. I've never had anybody go the long haul, and my ex-wife rode with me for 3 months straight, 724, and I took her up to Montana, and we took a month off. Took her up to Alaska, took a month off, and she never jumped in the bunk, went to bed or anything because she was afraid she was going to miss out on something, and she never knew there was that many different colors of green. She's from Arizona,
Right.
and so driving up there, she just was in awe with the scenery. And so yeah, I toured it around Montana and all over Alaska, going through Canada and the Yukon, she was just amazed at the country, and we even went up as far north as the Northwest Territories, so above Canada, and yeah, we went all over the place this last year, or I did. But yeah, for 3 months she rode with me, and she just loved it. So I toured her around all over some places of Alaska, and we did go out fishing and had a good time. I mean, just all of that stuff. It was yeah, Alaska's it's just such a gorgeous, beautiful place.
It didn't rekindle a romance, did it?
Oh no, no,
Okay, not to
no.
pry. I'm not trying to pry. I'm just like seeing how well it went or whatever. Did it go really well, or was it just to take a trip? So when you were up that way, did you get to take in any northern lights or anything like that? Because I'm sure the sky, even at night, has got to be just fabulous.
Well, no.
Okay.
No northern lights. It's you forget summertime is 24-hour daylight.
Okay.
So we don't see northern lights until October, until
Okay.
it starts getting dark.
Okay.
So yeah, it's too light out to see any northern lights in the summertime. You don't
Okay.
see those until a crisp, cold, when it starts getting into the teens, and that's usually late October,
Sure.
and then you'll start seeing the northern lights. So we're losing daylight now, but as we get further down the road, then that's when you start seeing the northern lights, but not in the summertime.
Right.
Too bright out.
Well, it sounds like you've had some.
Yeah.
It sounds like you've had some really good
Yeah.
scenic trips going on. I mean, Montana, Alaska, up in the Yukon and all that. You have little
Beautiful,
Indians,
man.
beautiful areas.
Yeah, a lot of pictures, and I mean, my phone used to be grandfathered in. I always had Canadian coverage, but now Verizon. I guess I need to switch carriers after being with them for 27 years. I no longer have Canadian coverage, so now I have to pay for all my usage, and I wasn't able to tag and post as I was going like I normally would do, and in the past. And so yeah, it kind of sucked. And she had AT&T, and it worked great for her, but anyhow, yeah, it's just I wasn't able to post all the pictures
That's something,
and tag.
Rene, I've never thought of actually. So you're saying that depending on what your cell phone covers, so if David and I were to drive to Alaska through Canada, you're saying that we might not get cell coverage?
Yeah, depending on your carrier. Yeah, Verizon, I guess, is starting to go downhill because, like I said, I've been with them 27 years, and I've always had coverage, and now I only get 0.5 gigs of internet usage, and then after that, you gotta keep paying, say yes on the text, and they charge you so much for the next 0.5 gigs, the next 5 gig, and to get international coverage, it's $100 a month.
So when you get
It's
when
like,
you get to Alaska though through Canada, then you're back to America's plan, or would that?
yeah,
Wow.
yep, I'm back to yeah. So trying to get through Canada, it's 3 days. So you're just yeah, and I have a cell phone booster in the truck, and I also have Wi-Fi in the truck, but the Wi-Fi doesn't work in Canada because it's Verizon, but it won't work in Canada until I get to America or get to Alaska.
Wow.
And so it's like, yeah, it's a real pain in the butt. But I get more coverage in my phone when I'm not in Canada than most people, just because of the setup I have in my truck. I got over $1,000 cell phone booster set up in the truck. So I mean, it's like my phone's on steroids when I'm in my truck, but
Yeah.
when I'm out of the truck,
So-
yeah, it's horrible.
So do companies normally, would they pay for the coverage? I guess if you're going to Canada all the time, a company might pay for that coverage, right? Or it might.
If you're a company driver, I could see that, but not as an owner op.
Okay, yeah.
All those expenses you have to accrue yourself, but as a company driver, yeah, I could see that. And again, that might be even limited anymore because they hate the thought of anybody using a phone driving. I mean,
Yeah.
they threaten you so much anymore. If you're caught using the phone, you're terminated. So they'd rather message you through your Qualcomm or any of that stuff than anything else. Even though you got to take your eyes off to read that damn thing.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. So Rene,
they
is a
just
CB
don't want-
radio even something anybody uses anymore?
The only time they use them, it seems like, is when there's an accident on the interstate. Hey,
Okay.
driver, what lane do I need to be in?
Okay.
But for the most part, everybody's using their cell phones to,
Right.
call home and do everything else. But
Sure.
um, we use VHF radios going through Canada and Alaska because our CBs don't have the range that a VHF radio has, and that's what's in my truck along with the CB. So I
Very
got them
high
both
frequency.
hooked together. Yeah, and so that's what we use up there. And the unit that I have is over $1,000 for the VHF, the Yaesu unit that I run, and then I got the Road King CB radio that's all been tweaked and tuned and so forth. But for the lower 48.
So Rene, you think so we're moving into 2023 now, right? So
Yeah.
you got big plans for 2023? You got what do you want to see happen in 2023, brother?
Well, I love what I do, and listening to your podcast here all last night and this morning, it seemed like everybody you were interviewing, all them guys were retired from driving, and they're taking on other jobs and so forth. And my hat off to them, but I'm third generation. I mean, I bleed, I bleed diesel, so it's hard for me to even think of ever retiring or getting out of it. And I guess if I do, it's gonna, whatever I do next is gonna totally relate to, it would have to relate to trucking, just because I know so much about it, and I like to help and mentor people, and I don't ever hashtag anybody because not everybody likes my content, and I'm not everybody's cup of tea, and I say it like it is, and if you're an idiot, I'm going to tell you, and if you're posting pictures, of your load and it's not secured right, I'll tell you, and most of the time I'll tell you privately. But it doesn't matter if I say it privately or not. Guys will get in an argument with me, and I'm like, "Hey, fucker, I was just trying to help you out, And if you're gonna be that way about it, everybody's so thin-skinned anymore.
Right.
I mean,
amen.
I kid you not. Everybody's so thin-skinned.
Safe spot.
So if I say it, I'll just post it right there for everybody else to read. How bad this person is, and I've had guys' wives chime in. I've had their mother-in-laws chime in on me and tell me that he's doing it right. And I said, okay, yeah. So when he goes and kills somebody or hurts somebody, then you're going to be thinking, I wonder if that was what NCT was talking about, And it's
Right.
Yeah. So now I'm getting blocked from Facebook or whatever it is. I'm in Facebook jail just because they're telling me I'm being a bully to their son.
Hate is gonna
'cause I was
hate.
critiquing his load. What's that?
I said haters are always gonna hate, it seems like.
Yeah, and so I mean, I have friends that, hey, I put you on this group chat, and I'm like, oh, you probably shouldn't do that. And they put me on this group chat, and within 2 or 3 days, I've been removed because somebody will post something and it's like, you're an idiot,
Yeah.
Right.
And then I go and tell them and and they get mad the way I said it, and I'm like, hey, and then the main guy, the person that put on the, he's I'm like, dude, yeah, I told you, this ain't gonna last, and I'm not one to sugarcoat it. I'm not gonna, and these guys need to know. I mean, when you get into this industry, there's no room for error. There isn't, and everybody's got their blinders on. They don't pay attention to the other guy that's next one that's getting loaded and why he secured it the way he did and put it where he did. And the hotshot industry, as much as I loved it and it did me, I made a lot of money doing that before I went back into a big truck. It wouldn't surprise me if DOT ever wanted to shut them down, because those guys, 90% of them don't know what the hell they're doing, and only 10% seem to know what they're doing. And but yeah, they watch YouTube videos and quit their job and go buy a pickup, and they jump into this hotshot stuff just because everybody, after 2-3 weeks of doing it, now they're selling the information. They think they know everything that there's to know about DOT regulations. Right. And each one of these guys they're picking on me, they're pulling me over and doing inspections, and I'm always getting picked on. And it's like, and I've done videos, and I tell you, every one of you guys are an idiot. I says, when you work for a company and you want a raise, I said, how, when you ask for a raise, what do? They do an evaluation.
Yep.
And they see if you come into work on time, and you leave on time, and you're taking your breaks when you're supposed to and not overextending them. That's how you get your raise, right?
Right.
I said, so when you go work for yourself and you're independent, if you want to work with direct clients, they have every right to look up your safety data sheet off Federal Motor Carrier website, and they see if you're passing these inspections. If you're not, they're not going to want to work with you directly. So that's the same thing as trying to get, when you go get an evaluation to get a raise. So by them pulling you over, they're doing it because your numbers are so new. They can tell by your USDOT numbers or your MC numbers, and my number's 27 years old that I've had my authority. And so I've been inside the scale house, the chicken coop, maybe two or three times in 3 or 4 years. Because my shit's on, I'm on top of my paperwork.
Yeah.
And my truck's always clean, it's always washed. And whenever I do go in there, before we went to ELDs, my paper logbook, I used a ruler and a fine pen, and they would look at it, and everything was, get out of here. They get all pissed because they want to find something.
Right.
All my pages are laminated. They're in a 3-ring binder, and they're all in there, and and I could find what I need. And yeah, they're like, get out of here, have a nice day. And it's like, all right, thanks, but yeah, and guys have asked me, hey, lease me onto you. I want to lease onto you. And I'm like, no. Well, why not? I said, you screw up, then you put a bullseye on my back,
Sure.
I said, my safety report is, and my insurance drops every time I renew it because of, good driving record. When you pass those inspections, that affects your insurance score points. So every time you pass one, it gives you a higher score, and your insurance costs you less. And so, but guys are always thinking, oh, they're picking on me, they're pulling me over. Well, no, your numbers are new. And then if they put the information on their window, they think that they're rolling down the window and going through a scale incognito and outlawing it. But if you have all the information on your truck and you look like a billboard, then they're less likely to hassle you because they know you're being legit, because it's kind of hard to bypass a scale when you look like a billboard.
Well, you're listening to the Ship's Gonna Happen podcast. We're with Rene from NCT. David.
So Rene, the answer that I thought you were going to give when Tony was asking about your 2023 plans is that next time you're through Indiana, you're going to let us know, and we're all going to meet up for a cup of coffee or something. I thought that's what you were going to go with, but that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah, you guys are awesome. I totally enjoy listening to your podcast. You guys have a lot of knowledge. It's nice to know. One of you worked for Aldi, the grocery store chain.
Tony,
and,
that was me.
Tony used to.
Yeah, and then I know you guys. One of you worked near or with Esty, one of the guys that just stepped down or something with Esty's trucking.
Yeah.
I forget what van line it was.
Estes
So you guys
Express.
have experience. So that's awesome, with what you're doing, because you have the knowledge in the background. And with all three of you guys, that's 70 years of experience. I totally enjoy. You guys have great voices. Usually, it's always clear, and you can understand everybody. It's just fabulous, the show and the questions and the hosts that you guys have, the content. Everything about it. I love it. You guys keep up the good work. What am I, number 94? No, 93?
93, but you were one of the first rounds in the original shows too.
But you're number one in our hearts, Rene.
Boom.
Hey, you say that to all of them. I've heard you say that.
Yeah, boom. Yeah, that's true. Dang it, Rene. Rene does listen.
So Rene, we're going to get into topic one. The topics you're going to stick around, right?
Oh, absolutely.
All right. So we'll get into. David has got topic number one: trailers being ordered in record masses.
So this topic comes to us from Transport Topics that I found yesterday. Actually, because I told Rene at the time that we didn't have any topics because none of us had done our homework yet.
I got mine.
So
I did mine.
So the title of the topic is, the article is December trailer orders hit all-time second highest level for the month of December in 2022. Since this research comes from ACT research that began in 1996, So the volume of trailers ordered for December of 2022 was 57,300 new trailers ordered, compared with 26,382 from a year earlier. The all-time high being 57,790 trailers ordered in September of 2018. So, when Tony and I, or all three of us, actually talk about this often, how they'll talk about how the economy is slowing, and Rene could probably attest to this, whether you're seeing a slowdown in the economy or not. But on our end, we definitely aren't, or I'm not seeing any slowdown. And when you see trailer numbers like this just kind of makes me think that the economy is still going along at a fairly good clip. Rene, are you seeing any slowdown in business, or how do you look at things?
No, I'm not seeing a slowdown in business, but I think a part of that, those large orders are because of the weight
Oh,
to
okay.
manufacture and get a trailer
Okay.
too.
Good point.
You
Good
know,
point.
anybody that gets in a truck accident right now, I mean, you used to be able to, you know, if okay, the guy that parks at the end of the line there at the truck stop usually gets his front end, the hood ripped off by a rookie that's making the turn. You understand what I'm saying, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that guy gets his hood ripped off. He ends up taking it to the body shop, and within 2 or 3 weeks, he's back on the road. Well, now ever since COVID happened, that hood is taken 6 months, of having to do a job like that. So the trailer ordering, I believe, is because of the delay on getting the trailers. They've put in large orders. So when they're phasing the other trailers out, they actually have some damn trailers in stock because
You're right, Renee, because we had that topic, David, if you remember, and part of the issue back then was they couldn't get the metals, and then
yeah,
the other part was there happened to be a record amount of surge of trailer orders through COVID, and they couldn't fulfill them.
Okay.
And so
yeah,
you had carriers that I know certain carriers that ordered 4,000 trailers and could only get like 1,500. So the snowball was definitely bound to happen at some point.
Okay.
So, but I think those record numbers, it would make sense to me why the trailer numbers would be way up, because I call on a couple of the manufacturers for those,
Okay.
and they're swamped. They've been as busy as
yeah,
ever, and
yeah.
and the new trailer standards, that they set up. So I can't remember off the top of my head. A trailer gets decommissioned after a certain amount of time. I can't remember what exactly the requirements are, but in the nation,
Well,
there's a surplus of trailers that need to go out of commission.
every trucking company is a little different. Like Landstar, one of the trailers I ended up pulling, one of the last drivers, we're supposed to do 100 and every 180 days, we're supposed to have inspections done on our tractor and trailer.
Mhm.
And the trailer that I picked up was a 2012. It was one of their oldest trailers in the fleet, and the VIN numbers on the VIN plates was hard to read. The license plate was hard. The reflective tape on the trailers, the white wasn't reflective anymore. So that was one of their trailers they were phasing out, and they're phasing it out because of the VIN plate. Once the VIN plate gets to where it's unreadable, they have to take it out of service.
Wow,
So
yeah,
that's one way of doing it.
yeah,
And other ways, Walmart, they might do them, every, 10 years or,
right. I think that's what LTL does. There's a year limit.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think every company is a little different,
Okay.
unless it's a DOT thing, then they have to comply with that.
It's good news though, because if that demand's there, that helps the economy continue to move along. David and I often say that what we're really seeing is the economy resetting back to pre-COVID numbers, which I think that's really what we're seeing. But yeah,
It's slowly getting there.
Yeah, I call in a couple trailer manufacturers, and they're busier than ever.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Whether it's semi trailers or gooseneck trailers, flatbed trailers, they're all if I wanted one right now, it was a year wait, or it's going to take them a year to, for me to get it. if I
Oh,
wanted
really?
a custom trailer. Otherwise I have to buy an existing one already on the lot.
So it'd take you a
So
year
if
to
I
get a
wanted
brand new one?
Yeah, I was going to get a brand new 3-axle with the
Wow.
2 rear lifts with the hydraulic dovetail and all aluminum step deck 53, and that would it'd be a year before I could even get it.
Is that what, Renee? What would that be like 5 years ago if you needed a new trailer?
Oh, within 6 months. I mean, they'd either have it in stock or less than 6 months. 3 months, I think you could probably have one turned around and manufactured, and off you go. And they're telling me it'd take them almost a year to get to it, before they even manufactured the damn thing.
Wow.
That's
You know,
amazing.
because it's a custom trailer.
David, man, good
having-
topic, brother.
I try.
That's awesome. And you did your homework,
Well,
man.
Oh, go ahead, Rene.
the truck that I bought a 2018 389 Peterbilt, and the guy had it sitting. The guy that I bought it from owned 10, 12 trucks here in the little town where I'm at in Poteet, Texas, and he hauls all the hay for all the tractor supply stores. Anyhow, he had that truck sitting for 2 months because at 300,000 he's got a contract with Peterbilt that he rotates his truck at 300,000, gets a new truck. Well, it had 290,000 miles on it, and it sat in this parking lot for over 2-3 months. And they hadn't even started the build on the new truck. And Peterbilt kept saying, "Give me your old truck." And he goes, "No, because if I don't have a truck to replace it, I may have to put it back in service."
Yeah, right.
Well, I inquired about it, and he ended up selling it to me, but he sold it to me at the price that he was going to get as a trade-in towards the new truck. And Peterbilt was all ticked out because they wanted the truck because they had customers looking, and there's no trucks. I mean, their trucks are hard to find right now, other than all the older trucks, and the older trucks, everybody was selling those as if they were in mint condition. And even when I bought this one, before I put it on the road, because I'm a driver and a mechanic, I still threw $10,000 at it before I even, and during that time, it took Landstar 9 weeks to get me on the road. So I had 9 weeks to do that. And since then, I've been on the road without having to do any kind of repairs other than services.
So what year was that Peterbilt? That sounds like you got a good deal on that, man.
2018.
Oh,
I
wow.
didn't get a good deal on it.
Yeah.
No, it's $180,000 is what they wanted for it, and I got them to drop at 10 just because it needed tires and shocks.
Wow. Crazy.
But you can buy two Freightliners for the price of one Peterbilt or one Kenworth, and a lot of guys and a lot of big companies, that's what they buy are Freightliners because they're disposable, and guys wreck them and total them, and they're inexpensive to replace, inexpensive to work on.
David B with a perfectly timed topic of trailer orders surging in America, record year, right?
Second
highest ever.
Yes.
Thanks, man.
Is your job to listen at all? Do you just
No, I forgot that part, man. I'm watching some
I'm just messing with you.
buttons over here too, but
Right.
no, that's good stuff. It's something that's right up our alley. Affects every one of us, so infects the market too.
Well, I'll tell you a little story about a trailer. When I came aboard with Landstar, it took them 10, 12 days to get me a trailer.
Wow.
And I was real upset with them because the hiring process took 9 weeks. So I'm like, you guys knew for 9 weeks I was coming aboard. And then when I finished orientation, that was 3 days of orientation. And then it took you another 10 days to get me a trailer, for a Fortune 500 company. And knowing how many students, how many drivers that you had in orientation, we all should have had a trailer reserved, and instead of me taking another 10 days. Well, their answer for that was they're short on trailers. So guys that went on vacation that parked their truck and trailer, well, I was having to go take their trailer, because they weren't going to use it. And these guys don't take care of the trailer, even though the company allows you to wash it, twice a month. These things were filthy. They were dirty, flat tires, or,
Yeah.
So I got a decent trailer. It was a 2017 2018 trailer, and my first one, and I took it to Alaska and all over the place. Well, I ended up taking another load one day, and 6, 7 months later, it was a drop and hook, and that's that 2012 trailer that I hooked onto. That was a piece of crap, and I wasn't real happy with it. I should have just turned it down when I realized it was a drop and hook, and the inspection was 3 months overdue and all that. And the truck stops hate working on Landstar trailers because Landstar, they get the best discounts in the industry, but it's an act of God to get authorization. When they call, they're on the phone for hours trying to get them to authorize it because Landstar wants pictures and videotapes or whatever needs to be done to the trailer.
Yeah.
And those guys could work on 2 or 3 other trailers, and it's taken 10, 12 hours to get authorization to work on Landstar's trailers. The trucks, they know that, get done right away because the owner owns the truck, not the trailer. And I can come aboard with my own trailer, which that's what I plan on doing, buy my own trailer. Then I can take care of all that instead of their. So with that being said, I tell them I want a new trailer. I'm not, I'm leaving, give me a new trailer. This is crap. And they're like, okay, we'll put you on the list. And I go, what do you mean on the list? Well, when I finally delivered and I told them that I was going to be walking, they said, okay, I'll give you the address of where the trailer's at for you to go pick up. Because they wanted to bring me a trailer, at a truck stop. And it's because they didn't want me to know where the trailers were at. Anyhow, they give me the address to the location, and it's in Dallas. And I go over there, and there's hundreds of Landstar trailers parked in this yard. And there's UPS, there's FedEx, there's Home Depot. I mean, there's all, like you're talking about right now, the amount of trailers that were ordered. I mean, this particular yard in Dallas, like I said, had a couple hundred Landstar trailers sitting there, brand new trailers. So when I pulled over there, I'm like, they're going to put me on the list, really? And they got all these trailers sitting here.
David, did they say how many were out there for, did they say, like, do you remember how many?
Like, there was at least a couple hundred. There was rows of them. I mean, I took pictures, and I'm like, and there was, like I said, not only Landstar, there was UPS, FedEx, and Home Depot, and Amazon trailers. They were all staged at this, and it had to have been, a couple hundred acres.
I've seen that before at one of them that does it in my territory. You're amazed that they're all still out there. It's just hundreds of them from different manufacturers just waiting to be picked up, I think so. But
and they're telling me we'll put you on the list. What do you mean on the list? And there they were,
So Rene, we're going to get into topic number 2, which is an interesting one. It's didn't mean to do that. Topic number 2. So it is new laws that come into effect in 2023. So here we go. New interesting state laws that take effect in 2023. All right. So if you are concealed gun carrier in Alabama, you no longer need a permit. Jaywalking in California. Jaywalkers get a break in California Assembly bill. Pedestrians for what previously unlawful traffic infractions, unless reasonable, careful person would realize there is an immediate danger. So if you're going to walk in traffic, they're not really going to ticket you anymore unless they think it's creating a danger. Kind of a weird law. Abortion rights are expected to expand in California. Lower level marijuana convictions in Connecticut. They changed their laws. Safety protections are put in place for renters in Florida. All right. So if you're renting, you got new protection there. This is an interesting one. Pornography viewing has a new requirement in Louisiana. As of January 1st, if anyone wants to visit a website in Louisiana that has over 33% of its content being pornographic, you must show an ID on the site. You have to pull out an ID.
That ain't happening.
Yeah, I think it just crashed. Business just crashed in Louisiana, right?
Yeah, they're going to change that law.
Yeah,
February the 1st.
Yeah,
go back to the original.
As business goes down.
Yeah,
right. So here's millionaires have a new tax in Massachusetts, so they're going to tax them at a higher percent. Homeless people face new challenges in Missouri. Missouri's saying they're not going to put up with homeless people on the street. Minimum wage hiked in Nebraska. Voting made earlier in New York, made easier. I guess New York is as long as you have oxygen, you can vote. state of emergencies in North Carolina. They're getting a little more strict on letting the governors declare shutdowns and things like that. Teaching critical race theory is banned in North Dakota. Sports betting in Ohio, legal, right? It's legal in Indiana. Is it legal in Texas, Rene?
I couldn't tell you. I'm not a sports guy.
Yeah, neither am I. Unemployment benefits are cut in Oklahoma down to 20 weeks. Salaries become more transparent in Washington. Those are just some little tidbits. There weren't a lot of trucking. There was infrastructure bills going on and stuff like that. But I could just jump into this one real quick. And that's why I mentioned the infrastructure. Is David? Can you say Brent Spence Bridge 3 times really quick?
Brent Spence Bridge. Brent Spence Bridge. No, nope, didn't make it through 2 times.
Hey.
But is that Cincinnati, Ohio?
Yeah, you've been across it before, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So have I.
I used to listen to WLW religiously.
Oh, yeah.
Decades ago, and they talked about that bridge often. So when they would actually do traffic reports.
Oh, yeah.
When
WLW,
they had a
the trucking
helicopter
show
in the sky. Yeah, they still do that trucking show. Yep. The trucking network.
Yeah.
The trucking bozo.
The bozo.
Mm-hmm.
The David and Rene, essentially, there's, I think it's 3% of all of America's commerce goes across this bridge. And this story, just so you know, was written by Brian Hamrick, and interesting story. So they will get $1.6 billion to fix the bridge, and I think they're going to build a new bridge while the other one will eventually just be for city kind of traffic crossing. The other one will be going away on the interstate or whatever. So the project is to begin by the end of 2023. $1.6 billion in federal funding to secure the Brent Spence Bridge, which is hard to say, Brent Spence Bridge. Here's some interesting things. The White House has not specifically said why they picked the Brent Spence Bridge to fix in its national infrastructure jobs plan. However, the bridge connects Ohio with a Republican governor and Kentucky with a Democratic governor, both of whom have supported the project along with senators from different sides of the aisles. Here is some interesting things about the Brent Spence Bridge. First of all, it was never supposed to be built. They didn't want to build it. And then they decided they needed it, and it was never in the plan. The Brent Spence Bridge was going to become the John F. Kennedy Bridge, but Kentucky had named it after Brent Spence, their longest-serving senator, which I think now Mitch McConnell would be. It was designed to carry 80,000 passengers. Today, it's up to 150,000. Kentucky has more jurisdiction. Now, this is interesting. Kentucky has more jurisdiction over the bridge due to the Act of 1792. Kentucky was a state before Ohio, so they deemed most of the Ohio River theirs, and actually got a law passed on it. That's interesting. And hey, that river's mine, damn it. That's just interesting. So then there's got some spectacular views, which I've seen, which historians in our nation thinks it rivals the bridge in Pittsburgh, how the beautiful outline of the city. But there's some interesting things about the Brent Spence Bridge. And real quick, a couple other presidents tried to get it done and couldn't get it done. And it looks like this time they are going to get it done.
So this bridge first opened in November of 1963. So it's a bit dated.
Yeah.
And it definitely wasn't built to handle the capacity of the freight the traffic that it has today. So, and then reading a little bit further into this, that it's projected that this could end up costing $3 billion. So 1.6 is already allotted to the project, and it could end up costing $3 billion.
I saw that. Had a hard time. It's funny you said that because I had a hard time seeing what the real cost was, because there was $5 billion, $3 billion, $1.6 billion. But I have traveled that quite a bit because we have family in Kentucky. And when we go into Florida, you're going to go through there. It is it really it's congested through there, and it really needs to something needs to be done through there, because in that Covington area it gets really congested. There's really only a couple ways to go, so I think that would alleviate a lot of traffic, especially those just flowing through and not have business or family or vacationing in the Cincinnati area. So, but the Brent Spence Bridge and Ashline Research had a story on it too, so I got some from that.
So when I looked up the Brent Spence Bridge, it actually comes up Covington, Kentucky.
Yeah.
It doesn't say Cincinnati, Ohio. So
Right.
I just think of it as Cincinnati. But what do I know?
Well, you thought of it as Cincinnati?
Mhm.
See, I used to think of it as the Covington Bridge.
Oh.
And then, well, once you're right. When you read this, it's actually Cincinnati, and it was just amazing looking at those bridges as how many suspended bridges that Cincinnati had, because they would never put the pillars in the middle of the river. They didn't want to put the pillars in the middle so they had to do these suspended bridges. And historically, it's funny if you go read it. There's actually Cincinnati Historic Museum has a good video on YouTube about it, and they go through the history of the bridge and back to the Civil War, where they started laying down floating bridges, and they built them, and they've had bridges collapse within a week or two.
Okay.
Like finished them, people traveled on them, and then boom, they collapsed. So they weren't really wanting to build this bridge because they thought it would eventually collapse. But they changed some of the rules.
Right, cool.
Boring stuff this morning on the
Yeah, sorry we're boring.
Ship's Gonna Happen. Renee fell asleep on us.
I'm here.
Have you been across that bridge, Renee?
Oh yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Are you seeing?
It's funny. I used to have a bridgeophobia. I used to hate going across some of these bridges with the water, and because when I was a young lad, I was with my father, and we're crossing a bridge, and the truck coming at us, the driver was asleep, and Dad was trying to get his attention with the CB and headlights and the horn, and I'm looking. He's not telling me anything, but I'm figuring it out, And when they finally do get close enough to each other, the guy wakes up and they slap mirrors and break mirrors and bust windows, and I thought we were going to go down into the drink. And so ever since then, I always had a thing for bridges. And when I was dispatched years ago to go across the Mackinac Bridge, and I at that point I made amends with the bridge gods, and I'm okay with bridges now, but I just did not want to cross that Mackinac Bridge ever. And I've heard horror stories about people white knuckling it, and the fire department having to come out and get them out of the driver's seat and drive it the rest of the way. And there's people to this day that's their job. They'll drive people across the bridge for a fee, and they work at the other end, and they just, husband or wife or male, female, it don't matter. There's guys at both ends that'll drive somebody's car across it just because, and they don't mind being a passenger. They just don't want to drive their own car across it.
Right.
Oh,
And so, yeah.
it makes sense. I guess I can see where there would be some people like that.
Yeah. Heck yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I can remember being, excuse me, stuck on some bridges in the Chicago area in rush hour, and you can feel the bridges sway.
I would imagine.
Have you ever done that?
Well,
Been on a
that's
bridge?
and the Mackinac, it's a suspension bridge, so it's a girder bridge, so the snow falls through it, so you can see through and see the water. So that's enough to freak people out too,
Sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it's moving, and the wind, and yeah. So
Well, and you have like when I was in the military out west in Seattleville, they had south of Seattle. There's a city called Tacoma, Washington, and they have what's called the Tacoma Narrows Bridge, and that was probably the most treacherous bridge I've ever had to cross, and it was long, and it actually collapsed. I think maybe in the 30s or 40s, because there's so much wind that rips through the Puget Sound area that it started to sway, and there were people on it. I think a couple had lost their lives, but not to depress anyone, but there's a lot of great bridges out there in America that need to be redone, corrected, fixed. And it's good to see, no matter what side of the fence you sit on, it's good to see the roads and bridges getting addressed because it's desperately needed. And it brings jobs to the area. So it's going to take a lot of money and a lot of time to build that bridge. So,
yeah.
Well, just an update, just a reminder to everybody listening that I will be at the Mid-America Truck Show on March the 30th and April the 1st. I'm going to try to bump into Jacinda Duran and maybe see if I can find some other people while I'm there and maybe do a few clips for the show while I'm there. So if you're listening and you're going to the Mid-America Truck Show in Louisville, look me up, and I'm just going to be meandering around and kind of meeting people and shaking hands and stuff like that. So
David,
she's awesome.
Yeah, she is.
Jacinda lady, she's awesome. I love her.
Will you be there, Rene?
She's good. Will I be there?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I'm not. The end of March. It's possible I could be down there.
Okay.
Didn't know if you went to that or not.
Yeah, let me know if you are. We'll definitely hook up.
Well, yeah, it'd be nice. The only reason why I'm iffy is because my girlfriend in Minnesota, we're trying to get together and do spring break. She's a school teacher,
okay.
And you were asking about 2023, and I didn't answer correctly. Come visit you guys.
Yay!
Spend more time with her and less miles and more money is the goal for 2023. But we're talking about getting together for spring break and while she's off from school and going on a trip, and maybe that'd be a cool place to take her.
Yeah,
there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, if
Take
you
her
still want her
down
to be
there.
your
Yeah,
girlfriend,
that would be fantastic. That might be it. So when she hears this podcast, she's gonna know where she's going now.
Well, she's gonna meet a lot of ugly men at this event. So
wait a minute.
Yeah, no kidding.
Scary men. Scary men.
So Rene, if you are through this area, please don't hesitate to give us a heads up, and we'd love to meet up with you somewhere and buy you a cup of coffee and shake your hand and put faces to the name and all that stuff. You've been an absolute pleasure to have on today.
Always.
You are, and I wasn't going to tell you this, but I'm going to go ahead and say it anyway. My wife listens to the show. She doesn't listen very often, but she listens, and you are, and I'm not just saying this to say this, you are her favorite guest that we've ever had on. So,
and Dave can attest to the fact that Tracy's not easy to, right?
Yeah,
she's tell you the truth.
Yeah,
too.
she's not gonna just say it to say it. She means it, and you've never heard me say this to anybody else as a guest. So you are her favorite guest.
That's quite the compliment. I don't know if it was me talking about how my dad smelled and I enjoyed it, or the white T-shirt. I remember the conversation, but that's pretty cool for her to feel that way. Well, thank you. Tell her thanks.
I will. And again, you're outstanding. Thank you very much for being with us today.
Yeah, Rene, thank you.
And we'll have you back on before the end of the year for sure, if that's all right with you.
Absolutely. No, I love it. When you guys asked me, I was like, oh yeah, I'd love to do it again. So that I appreciate the follow up. So thanks.
Yes, definitely. Well, you're awesome, Rene. You have a great rest of your weekend, and we wish you nothing but the best for 2023 from the Ship's Gonna Happen podcast.
Yeah, absolutely,
Awesome.
Rene. Thank you, sir.
All right. Well, thank you, Double T and D.
Yeah,
I
sounds
appreciate
good,
you
buddy.
guys.
have a good weekend.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Right
Thank
back
you.
at you. Have a good weekend.
All right,
Take care,
brother.
All right.
Nice guy.
Oh, I love Rene. Rene from North Cross Transport. NCT. Hell of a dude.
Yeah.
He's always, I do like it how he's curt, he's just going to tell you. There's nothing
Nice
wrong
guy.
with that at all.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that at all. Good show today, producer Tony.
You too, brother. So you got so what do you got going on this weekend?
I'm going to take a nap.
Take a nap.
Yeah. I worked
It's a rough
this
week.
morning. Yeah. It was not complaining. It's been a long week. It's just, time to go home and take a nap, I think, or whatever. What about you? What are you doing this weekend?
Have to get a lot of the Christmas stuff up in the attic that we got in the garage.
Okay.
Looks like a good weekend for football, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about that real quick if you got a second.
Yeah, I would like to do a college basketball game sometime soon, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to get that worked in.
Like IU or Purdue
Marion.
or Marion. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Like one where the women play at 1:00 and then the men play at 3, something like that.
Oh, really? They just come back early game and
Yeah.
we got Jaguars and Chiefs today at 4:30.
Okay.
You got Giants and Eagles at 8:15.
Ooh.
The Bengals tomorrow with the Bills.
In Cincinnati?
I think it's at Buffalo.
Oh, okay.
And then Dallas at San Fran. The interesting game tomorrow is the Jaguars and Chiefs. The Chiefs have been selling pre-selling tickets for the AFC Championship.
Okay.
Looking a little ahead.
Looking a little ahead.
Yeah. This might upset, I think, the Jaguars a little bit, right?
I gotcha.
A little bit of locker room thought there. So
Yeah, a little bit of locker room kind of to get the other team going or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
yeah.
Yeah. Does somebody play today? Does anybody play today or no?
Football?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You got the today at 4:30, you got Jacksonville Chiefs.
Oh, okay, my bad.
You got
I'm not listening.
you got
Jesus.
Giants and Eagles at 8:15. And then the Jacksonville Chiefs game will be a good game. And the Bills and Bengals, I mean, last time they played, they had the player get hurt. The game got stopped, right? So that'll be a good one. And then, then it looks like there's some good games. The Cowboys and 49ers, that'll be a good game too. You got the Brock Purdy, third string quarterback, leading the team to the, hopefully for them, to the divisional championship. So, but a lot of good stuff, man.
Yeah.
And Purdue is on a roll, right?
18-1.
Purdue set a record, their best open in team history.
18-1.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
From a program that's been very respectful
Yes.
throughout the years.
Always had a very competitive team.
But for some reason can't get past the 1 or 2nd round in the NCAA tournament, which drives me nuts.
Yep.
That one year they were ranked number 1, weren't they? And ended up getting bopped out in like the first round. They had their center go down. Yeah, they're ranked number 3 in the nation right now.
Northwestern's been playing some good basketball also.
Yeah, they're always pretty decent. Northwestern. Let's see here. What is the Big Ten standings right now? Here we go. Well, obviously Purdue, Northwestern 12-5, 3-3. Wow.
Yeah. Is Michigan ranked 2nd in the Big Ten, or who's second?
Good question. Great question. It looks like there's a lot of. It looks like flat out Purdue's going to dominate the conference. Purdue's number 1, Michigan State number 2.
Oh,
Rutgers of all people number 3.
that's not a surprise. Yeah.
Wisconsin 4, Iowa 5, Michigan 6. Michigan, not a bad record. I'm sorry, not a bad home record. They can't. It looks like they can't win on the road. They're 10-8.
Okay.
Illinois is 13-6, 9-2. I mean, they're always pretty decent in basketball. Looks like Purdue is 7-1 in the conference. Everybody else is doing horrible in the conference.
You spanked Illinois the other day.
You did?
Yeah.
Did they
spanked
really?
them big time. I think it was a road. I think it was at Illinois also, if I remember right.
Yeah, I thought Indiana was ranked at one point in the season.
At one point,
no?
yeah. No, yeah, you're correct. It's just they suck.
Yeah, I don't get it with that program. They should dominate. Or
that's a fan base I can't wrap my head around.
Yeah.
Cannot.
It just seems like they can't get on I always thought letting Brad Stevens leave Indiana was a mistake. They should have fired Crean back then. We had a year left before they fired him. They should have got rid of Crean and not let him go to Boston and yanked him into. It's a weird thing, man. It's like, because I think I've watched a couple games. I think the coach they got now, I think he sucks.
Mike Woodson.
Yeah, I think he sucks, and I think they're just. It's just not even fun basketball to watch. But you're right. I'm looking at the Indiana Illinois 80-65. They blew them out.
Yeah,
And then and then they blew Wisconsin. Playing some good basketball though. Looks like
2 months from right about now is when the tournament will be.
best time of the year, man. Really, right?
St. Patty's Day.
Summer's coming. St. Patty's Day. Yeah. Well, David, man, it's always a pleasure having you,
Producer
brother.
Tony, thanks again for having me over to your house on this Saturday morning. And
guest setup and stuff's not easy, man.
I enjoy doing it. When you have people like Rene and you have Rene, Jacinda, going on, and Trucker Ray, and those people make it easy. They make it super, super easy. And so next week we have Lance he's a retired UPS gentleman. We're gonna have him on. He'll be live in studio. Looking forward to that. This has been Lance is somebody we should have had on in the past, and we just, for whatever reason, drug our feet. But we'll get.
Well, I think he was going to come one time, and then it didn't work out.
Yeah, and we should have followed up better, but that's on me. So we'll have him next Saturday, and we're looking forward to it. And then a book signing this Thursday, Tony. If you're not doing nothing, 6 p.m. Great Divide. 6 p.m. Francois Hugen and
Made in France.
Logan Hunter. So,
Logan Hunter. Good job.
Yeah, that'll be fun. Both great guys, and it'll be an interesting book signing. So there might be a beer or two.
Yeah, probably. And you can catch us on all the platforms if you're on YouTube.
Smash that like button, click subscribe, hit the bell so you get notified what's going on, and leave us a comment. Whether you like the show, whether you don't like the show, respectfully leave a comment, and let us know how you think we're doing. So we appreciate everybody that listens.
Yeah, well said, David. You're listening to Ship's Gonna Happen. We are out.